Writers like to write about energy because energy is a part of our everyday life. Writers can show us a dystopian view of energy, the future, like energy apocalypse and climate change and energy failures, but it can also show us a very utopian, optimistic view of the future with a Tomorrowland view of gee whiz technologies that make our world better.
It's interesting to think about science fiction. I think a lot of the things that science fiction have come true. I think Isaac Asimov wrote some really interesting things. There are a lot of writers that, that had visions of what it might be like. It does set people to thinking about what's possible and what's not possible.
I am the program director of the Science and Entertainment Exchange, which is a program of the National Academy of Sciences. The audience that watches sci-fi and the kinds of movies that we're consulting on is not an audience that generally is out there learning about hard science. So the opportunity to reach a public audience that's very different, that's why I do what I do. If you're a storyteller, a writer, producer, director, actor, you have a question about science while you're making a feature film, a TV show, a video game, a novel, a graphic novel, we will connect you with a scientist or an engineer or a professional for free. It could be anything from trying to understand time travel. It could mean trying to understand genetics, earthquakes, volcanoes, anything that has anything to do with science, dinosaurs, creature design. You can call us and we'll connect you to someone who can talk to you and put it in the context of your story.
I'm co-writer of Guardians of the Galaxy, Captain Marvel, and Detective Pikachu. I think Hollywood is always going to be a useful way for people to envision themselves in a different world. And whether that means an actual different world or in a field that's just beginning, seeing representation of yourself reflected on screen has been proven to be a massively positive recruiting tool, whether it's Top Gun recruiting pilots or Jurassic Park making people go into genetics.
They can be a catalyst to a public conversation around issues that are really important for their time.
I think we've already grappled a lot with the idea of energy that can destroy us. What's interesting is trying to find ways to have it save us or have it change our society in a way that allows us to have a more sustainable future. And what does that future look like?
I think we like to see energy in movies portrayed as simple solutions to big problems because we want to see what that kind of power would look like in the real world. The funny thing is, there are real-world technologies that may get us there. What's amazing about the arc reactor, it's stable and tiny. Apparently is cool enough that he can wear it on his chest. Can't it pretty much power a city? People, if they don't envision something like that, then they won't start wondering why they don't have it.
Science fiction films can sometimes be predictive, but more often, particularly recently, they're cautionary tales. Blade Runner being a great example of that.
It's about what happens when Earth becomes unlivable.
A new life awaits you in the off-world colony.
An extreme example would be the film Soylent Green.
You gotta tell them! Silent Green is people!
What happens when there's no longer protein on Earth, so the government is actually killing off humans and turning them into food?
Energy is very cinematic in movies. So often energy is not something you can see itself in the real world. Whereas in blockbuster movies, you often get to see all sorts of different colors or effects. Energy is something that allows a different world to exist. It tends to be the thing that the whole movie hinges upon. So if you have unending sources of clean energy, you can have a much more advanced society. And whether that goes into a dystopian society or a utopian society, something more like Star Trek where you can be sort of post-scarcity, I think a lot of that comes down to what energy source you have.
There are numerous examples you could point to of somebody getting their inspiration for a piece of tech from something they saw in a movie or read in a book.
Kirk to Enterprise. Red alert. What is it?
Movies reflect and shape our world.